the next speaker is very, very important. One of our treasures. She has an MBA in International Management and has been involved in business, the community and Maori economic development for the past 30 years. She has held senior management positions in the public and private sectors and is currently a Rotorua District Councillor. She is also a member of the Lakes District Health Board. She is a regular columnist in the Rotorua Daily Post and is well known and respected for his strong, forthright and considered views on matters relating to family violence. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Merepeka Presentation.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou ngā whānau katoa no Clubs New Zealand. Nau mai, hara mai ki te rokurua, hara mai ki te rohe o te aroa. Ko Merepeka Presentation no te wako o te aroa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Well, President Tom and your executive, I'm delighted that you've included me on your speakers program today. I'm delighted too to see you all here at your conference. And I say that because we're all busy people, you and I, but you're here because you're here for the best interests of your clubs. You've taken time out of busy schedules to become informed, to see what Clubs New Zealand is trying to anticipate, is coming over the horizon, is coming down the wire, that will affect you and your operations and your clubs and your membership. So I'm absolutely pleased and delighted that you have taken time out of your busy work schedules to be here for your conference. And again, I thank the executive for asking me to come along to speak. Because our communities are changing, and you are a vital part of your communities. You've heard from the Member of Parliament, our local Member of Parliament, Todd McLean this morning, about the contribution that you make in your communities. But our communities are changing, and shift is happening, and it is affecting our individuals, it is affecting our communities, and it is certainly affecting the business environment in which you and I operate. And if you are to be sustainable, then you need to know what's going on, you need to anticipate what's coming at you, and you need to take the evasive action if it is required, and make the necessary changes. So I was looking at your vision statement. This is for Clubs New Zealand, but it's applicable to all clubs in New Zealand. And your vision was that members will be known for their hospitality and camaraderie. That's great. But you've left out the most important thing that I believe that you add, that should be added, and that you are. You are about community development. You've been that for years. You're doing it now, and you will do it into the future. And you say very, very little actually about your role in community development. And that is what should be writ large about the clubs, Clubs New Zealand and the membership. You are community development in action. And I think it is time that the community was well aware of the contribution that you make. Over 300 clubs. Over 300 clubs, nearly 290,000 members, nearly 5,000 employees. You contribute through your employment of local people to the economic and social well-being of communities. You've got businesses and assets in our communities, and you've got 290 people that live in those communities that you contribute to. It is your role in community development that I believe should be shouted as the sun from the rafters. It is absolutely vitally important, and I would love you certainly to know that you are, that clubs will be known for their camaraderie and hospitality, but do not underestimate your role in community development. That's where you stand tall. But our communities are changing, and shift is happening. It's barely 3 years, just over 3 years, since this country has experienced Christchurch, the Christchurch earthquake, and if we have people from Christchurch here, no mai, hara mai, welcome. But it's barely 3 years. We've had Pike River. We've had the Rena disaster out in Tauranga Harbour. We've had the PSA, which has decimated and affected our kiwi fruit industry in the Bay of Plenty. Let's not forget the global financial crisis and the big impact that has had on us, that it's certainly had on the whole of this country. We've had local government reform, and I want to come and talk to you. I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a moment, because actually that's hit Clubs New Zealand quite significantly, the local government reforms. And also we've had welfare reforms in this country. All of that's happened in the last few years, less than 3 years, all of that's been going on in this country in the last 3 years. And don't think that welfare reforms don't impact on your businesses either, because they do. You've got members in your clubs who are dependent on a benefit, and whenever there's new welfare reforms, it affects your memberships and their ability to perhaps continue to be engaged in the activities that you provide for them in your club. So you have to think a little bit wider now when you're looking at what's happening in the wider environment, and think, how is this likely to affect my club? We all know since Christchurch, the added costs for our insurance, not only our personal insurance, but our business insurance, also shoring up our buildings for earthquake strengthening. That's had a major impact on our ability, it's had a major impact on the bottom lines of businesses throughout this country. And so we need to just understand that it's not only, all of these things have happened and not only affect your members, but they are affecting you and the business environment in which you operate. So our communities have been affected, you have been affected as clubs. And I say for clubs in this country, it's been a bit of a double whammy. And why? Because you've had to cope with some major legislative changes. And I was looking at Gus's report in your annual report here, and he highlights here some of the legislative changes that are actually taking place right now that affect your clubs. The Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act 2012, that came into being just in December of last year. Now you will know at this point in time throughout the country, every local authority is now putting their policy together as this will affect them. And they'll be calling for submissions, and I do hope that you've looked very seriously at that, because it could curtail hours of operation, it could curtail and have some impact on your off license, on your on license, and things like that. And I would expect that you would all have put in the submission when you've seen your local plan come out, your local liquor policy plan, which is now being advertised. I'll be on that hearing, and I need to hear what the people who are going to be affected by this act are actually saying. And if we don't hear from you, then things will get passed. And then it's too late after the event. So you have to become quite politically aware about what is happening in legislation that will impact on you. And that's where your national office is very significant. You know, I hear people often say, oh, we don't want to pay a levy to our national office. And this doesn't just apply to Clubs in New Zealand. There are other organisations. I say, thank goodness you've got a national office. You've got people down in Wellington that are constantly over in the beehive, that are constantly knocking on doors and say, boy, that will affect our membership. That will affect our ability to trade as we need to trade. And that is the value of having a national office. Somebody down there that's looking out for your interests all the time. At the same time, locally, I am a civic leader in this town. I've never been invited to a number of the clubs. I'm a member of 3 clubs in this town, in this city. I enjoy the hospitality and camaraderie, believe me. And if you want to know what people think of you as a politician, go to the club sometimes. Especially after they've had a drink or two. But then I can tell you, after the politician's had a drink or two, it gets very lively. But still, we do need to know that you have to become now quite political as well. And you should know what's going on, because there is so much going on. The Gaming Harm Reduction Amendment Bill, that could likely affect you as well. Health and safety, employment relations, All of these things, any changes in legislation in these areas will affect you. I don't know if you've seen the submissions that have gone from your Charter Club New Zealand to the select committees. I've seen some of them. They're excellent. They're excellent. Anybody sitting on a select committee and will see clearly what the impact that this legislation will have on the 300,000 members who belong to clubs throughout this country. So you should not only be depending on the national office, but you should be depending on your local, if there's anything coming through local government, you should be putting submissions in as well. And when your national office asks you to supply them with data, so that can inform their submission, get that stuff into them. They're not trying to get up your nose. They're wanting to put in a substantial, informed submission that will help you to be able to trade as you want to trade and provide the services to the standards that you want to have into the future. They're doing it on your behalf. They're doing it at a national level, and you must do it at a local level. You must get alongside the people locally who can who know your business, and who will know that if there's any restriction on trading hours, your off license, your licenses, your fees, they need to know what that will have on an organisation that is strong in the community because you have a community development focus. So I say again, know your strengths, and make sure that you play to those. But you have been hit with a double whammy because of the things that are happening in the community and some of those changes that I mentioned, and also, of course, on that legislative front as well. So it is changing times in which we are living, and shift is happening. There's no doubt about that. So you have to plan your journey into the future. And there are really only three things that I would say to you. If you're going to take a planned approach, and you have to, otherwise you're likely to end up anywhere. And that's not desirable. That is not desirable. There are only three things. First of all, you need to be very clear about what you're currently doing. What are you currently doing in your business? What are you currently doing? That's about the services, to review the services that you're currently providing for your members. And actually, that's not onerous. It takes a half a day once a year. And it should be done half a day once a year. And you need to know how well you're doing it. How well are you doing it in providing those services to your members? And you need to evaluate that. And the third thing is it making a difference? Is it making a difference to the experience of your members? And you can ask them. How often do we ever sit down and say, I want a number of people, I want 30 people, please come on Sunday afternoon, and I'd like you to ask you the three things that you think we're doing very, very well, stunningly well, and three things that you think we could perhaps do differently that would enhance your experience as a member of this club. That is not onerous, and it should be done every year. It should be done every year because you want to be sure that what you're providing is what's wanted. And you want to be sure that the people who are coming in and using your facilities and are active members, that they're there because they get what they want to get from being a member of your club. People who do not get what they want to get, they actually tend to walk. They tend to work. And it will require sometimes courage to listen and hear what might come back to you, because it might not always be what you want to hear. And that requires courage, because we don't want to just block our ears and think, oh God, it's going to be too much trouble. Ask them and be clear about what it is that you're currently providing in the way of services to your members. First of all, how well are you doing it? If you're not doing it well enough, make the necessary changes, and are you making a difference to the quality experience that you want your members to have when they come into the clubs. You're not the only ones who are experiencing difficulty at this time. A lot of businesses are having to look at that now and ask themselves those three questions. I'm an elected member of the Rotorua District Council. We did that exercise last year, not even 6 months ago, in October of last year. And we had to ask ourselves how well, when we were newly elected council, how well are we doing? And of course we thought we were doing very well. There was a mood for change, I have to say, that is true, but we thought we were doing pretty pretty well. We were acting within the regulatory framework that a city council needs to operate in. And we wanted to be a place, and we thought we were achieving pretty well, a place where people would want to live, work and play. Well, of course, when you ask people, how do you think you're doing? I can tell you, it takes a bit of courage to sit and listen and to hear what comes back. And I'll tell you what came back to us, just by asking those 3 questions. Our city, our ratepayers felt that we had lost the way. They felt that we'd lost the plot. Now how's that when we thought we were doing pretty good? So they told us that they were unhappy because there'd been no business growth in Rotorua for many, many years. We had infrastructure problems that hadn't been addressed for some time. We had a dying city centre, and that was a great issue with the citizens of Rotorua. We had a dying city centre. We had natural resources, particularly geothermal, that had never been used to any great extent here in Rotorua. There was lack of training and employment opportunities for our young people. And one area that really affected our citizens, that we needed to give, and they thought that we hadn't given sufficient attention to improving the quality of all of our 14 lakes. And that was quite an eye-opener for us, because we did, as I say, thought we were doing very well. So it's not easy to hear that. It's not easy to hear. And of course the other biggie, which I cannot overlook, is they thought our financial stewardship was not as it should be. Those are all big issues when they come from the heart of the city to tell you that that's what they think of you. So what we had to do is we had to then do as I say and have a look and see, okay, what do we actually need to do? And we did sit down at the start of our training, at the start of our term, and we looked at it and we thought we'll have to plan for the future. And whatever we want Rotorua to look like in 2030, we'll have to start now. In fact, it should have started a long time ago, and some of things, of course, have. We're not starting entirely from scratch. But we had to go out and say to our community, if that's what you're telling us, we have looked at some priorities, and we went back to them and said, we've only developed 7, but if we can achieve these 7 priorities, then we'll be doing pretty well. I want to tell you what those 7 priorities are, because I believe that clubs in this country are contributing in your own communities to the 7 priorities that we have recognised that will take Rotorua's into the future. And I believe that these are probably priorities, certainly a number of them, that would be applicable to you in your cities as well, through your contribution, through your clubs, what your clubs are making to your city. Rotorua, and we've set these for 2030. You might think, well, that's some way off. It's only 16 years, and you know how quickly the years roll around. And some of these goals will take time. But Dave, if we want to be the city, if we want to be a city, a modern city, where our grandchildren will stay here, that they won't have to move to Perth, that we'll have wonderful educational opportunities for them here, that we will have work opportunities for them here, that we'll have affordable housing for them here, then we have to start now to create that climate, to allow the things to happen that will take the city to new heights. So we set only 7 goals. We wanted a resilient community, number 1, a resilient community that's inclusive and that's livable and that gives us a sense of place and confidence to be involved and connected. Now that's what clubs are doing. Clubs are inclusive. Clubs are inclusive organisations, inclusive. And clubs give people a sense of place and confidence to be involved and connected. So that's a contribution that clubs are already making to our first goal there, which is to be a resilient community. We want affordable homes in Rotorua. We want affordable homes that are safe and warm and match the needs of all of our citizens. That match these, and through clubs are contributing to that in Rotorua. They hire many people. They've got staff, and those people are able to, through their earnings, to buy homes in the city. So the clubs are already contributing in that area as well. We want outstanding places to play. We want recreational opportunities that are part of our lifestyle, connecting us and surrounding us. That's what we want. Clubs contribute to that through your adjuncts. Through all of the activities that whether it's fishing, whether it's golfing, whether it's bowling, whether it's all the other sporting adjuncts that you have. Clubs are contributing to that as well. We wanted a vibrant city heart. Look here, the SIDS Club is already contributing to a vibrant city heart for Rotorua. I don't know whether they actually realise they're doing that, but they are. It's a vibrant city heart where it's inviting and it's thriving and it reflects who we are. And clubs are doing that in your own cities and certainly here in Rotorua as well. Business enterprise, that's another one of our goals. That's the fifth one of our goals. Business enterprise, where we can boast a diverse and sustainable economy, energised, of course, by innovative people. Clubs are contributing to that, here and in your communities, because you are a business enterprise, and you are vitally important to your local community. We want employment choices. Number 6, that we have a prosperous, connected community, growing our education, training and employment opportunities, and clubs provide that as well. Clubs provide that as well. And of course we want an unspoiled environment. And you contribute. We want an unspoiled environment that we are known globally. This is our city, known globally for our clean, natural environment, air quality and healthy lakes. That's ours. But through the distribution of from what comes from from the grants from your pokie machines and from the take from the pokie machines, you'll find that some of those grants go to organisations that have at the heart of their objectives. They would have, I'm sure, some area of environmental well-being at the heart of what they want to do with their grant monies that they receive from clubs. So those were our goals, and really, when you look at it, clubs here in Rotorua are contributing greatly to those goals. And I suspect that if you look at your own city council, and what they have and what their aspirations and dreams are for your cities, I think that you will find that you would line up very much in some, if not all areas, in the contribution that you could make, because that is community development, and that is exactly what you are doing. So as I say, we can't do it on our own. The City Council can't do all of those things on our own. So that's why it takes you to know your place in that whole area of community development, social and economic development. You grow your people and you grow your business. You grow your community, and it's that inclusiveness, that glue, that fibre that runs right throughout our communities. That is part of your role. That is part of your role, and you've been doing it for years. But I suspect that you probably don't know the extent and the impact that you actually make in our communities. Right now it's time for new relationships. And Anthony mentioned that. Now he talked about our members of parliament. I'm telling you, cozy up to people like me in your communities, to people like me. Cozy up and get to know, if you don't already, your local body politicians. It's very, very important. It's very important that if they don't know the contribution you make to community development, if they don't know it, by goodness, you tell them. You tell them that you are the glue in the communities. You are the glue. You tell them the work that you've been doing. You tell them about the social and economic contribution that you make to the cities through clubs. And you tell them that you don't want them to do anything that will disadvantage you to operate in the best interests of your members. Make sure they know that. Make sure they know that's what's at stake when they put any local bylaw down that can affect you and your members. Use your clout. As Anthony said, use your clout and know why you're using it. You're using it for the good of your community and the good of your members as well. So it is about new partnerships, it's about new relationships. We've got 3 clubs, well actually we've got 3 or 4 clubs in the city, and I hope that they will develop new and solid relationships with each other. Patch protection is a thing of the past. We know we've got a great club. We know there are a number of great clubs in every city, but you need to start talking to each other to think, how can you improve the relationship? How can you share information? For goodness sake, you operate in the same community. You all have the best interests of your members at heart, and you certainly have the best interests of your community at heart. So talk together, think about new relationships, and get to know the people who are making the local bylaws and, of course, central body parliaments as well, members of parliament as well, who are making laws and enacting acts that will impact on your businesses as well. Become very au fait with the business in which you are involved in. So again, it comes down to taking a planned approach to your journey and to the future, to have a clear direction, a clear sense of direction. Make sure that, I'm sure you do in your own areas, that you have the operational systems that support you to actually have best practice in your businesses, and that you're monitoring your club's performances as well. And it may need that when you're monitoring your club's performances, the financial look might have to improve, and we've heard a little about that. We know that there are financial pressures on this country and on business, and so perhaps it takes another look, that you have another look at your financial plan again from time to time, to ensure that you have a sustainable income that will reduce your debt over time. That will reduce your debt over time. You have to have an affordable capital program as well. If it's not affordable, you're not going to be able to do it. And you don't want to get yourself into hock these days. We've had an exercise recently at council where we've had to review some of our assets. Do we really have to have these assets? Do we really have to own this stuff? Or should we actually be freeing some of that up and paying off some of our debt? Or looking to see how we can undertake our capital program a little bit faster, because we have lost or parted with some of our assets. And maybe you might have to think along those lines as well. Other changes may be necessary for you too. And part of it is also maybe looking at the way we communicate sometimes with our members, and enhancing communication with our members. Members are great on telling you, giving you the feedback, I think, from time to time that we need. Some of it will be positive, and I suspect most of it will be. Some of it may not be. But enhanced communication keeps you in touch with the very people who might not every week be walking through the doors. But you know from time to time when they come up with a great idea, you know it's based on what they believe will have some good thinking, and what they believe will make a good experience for the members in the club. Amy mentioned this morning about leadership in clubs. And I think you have to have trusted, experienced leadership in clubs today. You have to have confidence in your local leadership at your clubs. And if you don't have confidence in your leadership, then I say move them on. Move them on. We can be nice about that. We can leave people with their dignity. But some of them hog the seats. Some people, I believe, never know when it's time to go. They've been there for years. They're well loved. You know, that's no reason to stay in a leadership position. That's no leadership for no reason. And the other reason why we need to move on from time to time is because we need to give others the opportunity to also excel. But when you're sitting there because you're loved and you're respected and everything else like that, you are blocking an opportunity for somebody else to come in and give their 5 or 6 years, and so that they can move on. You get that regeneration of ideas, you get that regeneration, invigoration of new energy, just new thinking around the board table. Oftentimes there develops a groupthink mentality, because we've worked together for so long, we're always getting re-elected, everybody loves us, and so nobody's there around the table giving some black hat thinking. And that is really what is required from time to time. We need to also look at our operations to see, are there more efficiency gains that can be made in the way that we do things around here? Because the way we do things around here is no longer a reason why we should continue to do things the same old way around here. It's absolutely no longer as easy as that. It's no longer plain sailing. So we have to also strengthen, I say again, your community engagement. And it is about the community knowing exactly what your contribution is. And you have to make sure that they do know that. And you do have to know what your members' aspirations are for your club. I think that if we look back over the last 5 years, we need to think about, are there things that we could have changed a lot earlier? And if now, on reflection, there were some things that could have changed, then you have to ask yourself why that didn't happen. Why that didn't happen. So you need to canvass on a regular basis what are your members' aspirations for your club. Because they're not just the aspirations of the executive and those that sit around the table, they are actually what your membership will require. So it's important that you actually know what it is that they want. And if you are going to take a planned approach to for your journey into the future, then I think you do have to realise that it is club members that make clubs, not our buildings, not our activity programs. It is the members themselves, the people that walk in the door, the people that get greeted well by the people either at the front desk or behind the bar. And if you've got some grumpy old sod behind the bar, move them out. You know how many times I've been in the club and there's someone there that's totally unresponsive to your greeting. Either it's good or good morning or good afternoon. And I love to be welcomed into a club just by a hello. It makes you feel as if somebody's been waiting for you to come along and say a cheery welcome. But we seem to have this rather I was going to say preoccupation with employing somebody who's been a good club member for many years and we'll give them a job. Look, hostessing or whatever you want to call it, or behind the bar, it's a professional job these days. It's a professional job and it requires skills that perhaps before weren't so important, they certainly are these days. So it is about making sure that we have the right people in the right jobs. But our clubs, it is members that make our clubs. It's not our buildings. It is our members and who they want to see in terms of the connectedness that we find in our clubs. And our club members are connected to each other through camaraderie, through hospitality, and through their communities of interests. It is club members who are innovative and share what they know and what they learn with each other. And it is club members that drive opportunity and business growth. It is club members. It is Clubs New Zealand and your 300 plus clubs, your 290,000 members and your 4,000 or 5,000 employees, but it is particularly your club members who support a legacy, a very, very strong legacy of community development. You are community development. You are the glue in your communities, and you need to know the vital contribution you make in this area of community development. I salute you all. Kia ora.